So I think last time I talked about this bike, or I wrote it, I don't know if anybody watched it to the end, but I got a lot of comments, a lot of people were confused a little bit. So let's clear things up here. The carburetor was leaking, but it wasn't leaking due to any float problem. It wasn't through the overflow. It was the fact that the carb bowl gasket was bad, and so it was leaking out the side of the bowl. When it shouldn't have been leaking at all, right? It shouldn't even have been spilling gas. It shouldn't have, it should have been airtight. And the second thing was that, do I have problems with these? He said, I don't really have any problem with any of these carbs. And if I switched to some other crazy thing like Electron, I'd have worse problems. I just try and jet that one, get that one right. Well, I don't even know if this bike's right. Whereas with this carb, I know how to jet it correctly. And once it's jetted correctly, I can see if there's something else wrong with it. So, and I had Electron is just another, I think it's kind of worse than jetting because it has these rods. And I got one. I put it on that bike. It was too rich. And then you had to turn the rod to a certain position to see if it was any good. So it's actually worse than jetting. Yeah. The thing is, a lot of people like those Electrons because you don't have to jet them, because they come correct for your bike from Electron, because you have a bike that they have there and they've tuned it for it. They don't have a Maico 660, for example, so they've not tuned it for it. So, and I told them what I had. They gave me the carburetor. It sucked. So anyhow, for the problem I had here, so the second thing was the air screw. Yeah, if you turn the air screw, you're rich in it. If you turn it out, it leans it out. Now, why did I turn it in? So the reason why I turned it in was because whenever I was riding the bike, it was obviously running bad. And I at first thought, I don't have another carb with me out in the wilderness. I didn't bring any other jets. I can't do anything. The only thing I can do is turn that. I can also adjust the needle, but the only thing I really could do was turn that screw in. And I was hoping that I would see it was turned out really far. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping, this thing seemed like it was running rich on top. It seemed okay on the bottom a bit, but it seemed really rich on the top. Even on the bottom, in some instances, it was bad. So I was hoping that it was out far. When I checked it, it was actually at one turn, so it was actually near perfect. So I was like, okay, the only thing I can do now, since it's near where it's supposed to be, what happens if I turn it in? And the funny thing was, when I turned it in, it actually ran a little bit better. And so the reason for that I believe, is because the carb bowl gasket was bad. It was sucking in air from there. And so turning it in actually did help it somewhat. So then when I got home, I fixed that. I turned the air screw back to one turn out, and I fixed the carb bowl. And then guess what? The bike ran completely like shit. Completely bad. Worse, way worse than it was. It wasn't even runnable at all. It was so bad. And so now I'm back to three things. The first thing, the easiest thing, is, since that carb bowl had a leak in it, perhaps the last owner tried to keep richening the jetting to compensate for that, because he didn't know to fix the gasket. And so that's why it's rich. I don't think so, but that's like the easiest solution. I open up the carb right now, I see the jetting's thick, and I put it back to where it's supposed to be, and it's fine, because he jetted it rich because the carb bowl was leaking. He didn't know. That's one possibility. Second possibility, the ignition has a weak spark. That one, to me, also seems like a far-fetch, just because it's not backfiring, it's not back-kicking. But it's a possibility. It's the second best option. Now, the last thing, which is the worst, what I'm hoping it's not, which it'll probably end up being, is it's sucking in an oil from that crank seal. Yeah, that's the worst thing. But the first thing I'm going to do is, right now, I'm going to just see what the carb is jetted at. Okay. So we know this jetting. It's 195. 195. All right, and the Pilot Jet is 70. So let's see what the stock one is. That seems high, but I might be wrong. I might be thinking of a different bike. This is 65. So I think that it seems it's a lot farther off than just 65. So that's 65. And let me just check what needle we've got in here. And again, the stock carb that I have right here is not for the same exact bike. It's for a 98, or sorry, a 2000, 99, 2000 and up. Okay, it's 3503, but they should be very similar. 66. Okay, yeah, checking the other one, exactly the same thing. So the only difference we have in the carburetor is 65 on this one at least. And I need to go check my settings to see if I have, see what the 86 Maico says. But it's 65, that was in the new one, and it was 70 in this one. So let me check that. And that seems to be the only thing, unless it's supposed to be even less than 65. But 65 what the new Maicos use. Well, believe it or not, the manual for the 86 says 60. The question is, do I have a 60? So, that's the 65 I put in there. What's in here? Not sure if these are not. Guess what? I found out I had a Bing rebuild kit here for some reason. As I found some new jets here. This one is 185 main jet, and this one is a 50 idle jet. Alright, here we go. It's a little bag full of all kinds of jets and things. Well, not all kinds, but the question is, do I have a 60 in here? This one here's a 60, so that's what we're going to do. Take out the 70, it's right here. I'll put in this 60, make sure it's the same. Yeah, same thing. So this one here is a 70. And we're going to put in it as a 60. And if it's too lean, we'll go back up to a 65. be it. I didn't get a chance to run it too much, but it was clearing up a bit. And definitely whenever I had it in the garage here revving it up, you could hear it wasn't choking anymore. So I essentially just need to take it out again and run it for a bit longer in a place where I can actually open it up all the way, which I couldn't do here. And see how it is. But it seemed that solved it. So the problem was that the carburetor had a leaking seal in the bowl. So I replaced that, and then the pilot jet was jetted too rich. Looks like 60 should be fine.